Greetings all, Shane Bruce, Restomod Daisy with a hail and farewell to a set of guns that came in recently and got worked on and are now ready to go home. We've already given you the thumbnail review of the Mon 98 here. This gun worked out really well. We had to effect some stock repairs to the cellulose acetate original stock that's on the gun. They're really kind of neat stocks, but they just had issues. You can see how the shine on the light kind of flexes here. Let me spin that around for you and give you a long view of it. You can see where the stock has waffled. Cellulose acetate had a nasty habit of shrinking, but nobody knew that when they first started making gun stocks with them. It only became readily apparent about 5 or 6 years down the road. And here, 50 years down the road, 60 years down the road, surviving set of these stocks that isn't waffled or just completely broken up is pretty rare. This one had an issue with the top of the butt stock here at the wrist of the stock. This little section that hides that underneath the receiver had cracked in 3 separate places and was no longer able to anchor a screw. So we custom cut a maple block insert, installed it in the receiver, then glued the remaining plastic pieces to it, and then used it to anchor the top of the receiver to the stock. So now it actually fits and does not wobble. The front stock of the cellulose acetate line, especially on these wide bodies, had an issue of shrinkage. They would reduce their length as opposed to just waffle and fall apart like the butt stocks did. And that was the case with this one. So what happens is when the stock shrinks, there's a small tab right there that has a lip that rises up to a shelf on the inside of the stock. And when it shrank about 1/4 of an inch, it no longer made contact. So the way to correct that is back here on this part of the stock, there's a void. It's a hollow stock, so you can drop a block of an oak. In this particular case, it was a piece of oak round stock that had been shaped to fit inside the void, and we are using it to push the stock forward and prevent the stock from drooping off the forend. So it's a functional set of stocks now. The gun's been modded internally. It's got a Cobalt 327 mainspring in it, 764 overbore air tube, new seal set, and it's sporting a Model 25 50-round magazine here. We did not put the adapter in to cover this port in case the owner wants to go back to the rattle trap and shoot 50 rounds or 500 rounds at a time instead of 50. So we left that option open for him. Looks pretty good. It's got the brushed steel going to town finish. It's a silvery look. It's not nickel silver, not super shiny. But if you encounter any rust with it, you'll know immediately and can just fix the problem with some steel wool and some appropriate gun oil. The other gun that customers sent in was a Parris Western carbine. Now, I've had a couple of these over the years because you'll find them at yard sales for $1. Who can say no? I can't. When the customer sent it to me, it had a broken forestock. You might be able to see that crack running right there. Now, we've glued and repaired it. That's what the customer wanted me to do. And so I said, yeah, I can fix that. But after I got it fixed and was letting this dry, I kept looking at the receiver and thinking to myself, that might look pretty good with some maple on it. So I went ahead and built a stock for it. So what we've got here is a one-piece curly maple stock set that's basically a clone of the factory stock set. A little bit different profile, but essentially does the same thing. Now, the Parris Western carbine is a clicker gun. You can cock the gun and you can pull the trigger. You can pull the trigger and it makes a noise, but that's all it does. So you can cock it and you can pull the trigger and it can make a noise, and you can go on safari and knock down elephants in the backyard. Nobody will know. Nobody will care. It has a classic bent steel scope thing on it, but it doesn't actually have any optical elements. You can look down through the scope board there and you can see that it's just a hole. But, the imagination of youth can make this a very adventurous toy indeed. The original unit did have a wooden black dowel because the gun was painted black originally. We went ahead and stripped it to match the finish on the 98 for the fake magazine tube. But I discovered in my stock of scrap that I had a curtain rod that had a brass accent on the end, but was a steel tube. So we managed to get a color accent there to go jazz it up a little bit. And we put a butt plate on it because it's a Restomod, and all Restomods get butt plates, pretty much, except for the ones I forget to give them to. Anyway, the dynamic duo, is now ready to head back to its owner, and we'll get that puppy boxed up and shipped out of here with fond memories and, once again, a hail and farewell That's all we've got for you today, kids. This is Restomod Daisy signing off.